I wanted to try some cinnamon raisin bagels from my new cookbook, but discovered that I didn't have any raisins, so I'm gonna try these instead, and then maybe some other stuff that I have in the pantry. Welcome to the Bare Pantry Show. If you're looking for authentic Belizean recipes, then you're in the right place. My name is Barbara, and this is Cooking Made Simple. The recipe calls for 5 cups of bread flour divided, so I have 2.5 cups in each bowl. I'm gonna set one aside for later. And in this one, I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of granulated white sugar because this is supposed to be a sweeter bagel than the plain bagels. To this, I'm adding 2.25 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And I buy my yeast by the pound, that's why it's in this jar. And then 2 cups of warm water from the faucet. If you live in a country where the faucet doesn't have warm water, then heat it up in the microwave for about a minute or so, okay? So you can use the handle of a wooden spoon or the handle of a spatula or one of these spurtle things. I love this gift so much from my friend Cindy. I'm going to spend some time showing you what this starter is supposed to look like because sometimes you may need a little bit more than the 2 cups of water depending on how you measure the flour, depending on the time of the year, if the flour is expanding or contracting. So see, this is too thick. Pour some more. I'm still working on the 2 cups that I measured. No, that's all of it. I'm going to see if I need a couple ounces more or not. It's not supposed to be thin as pancake batter, but it can be a little bit thinner than this. So I'm going to grab a couple more ounces of water from the faucet, warm water again. And let's pour about 1 ounce first. Let me go ahead and take off my ring because I think it's making a lot of noise against the glass bowl. See how thick it is? And I think I am going to use that last ounce of water. Right, here we go. Yeah, this is perfect. So I'm going to clean it off of the paddle and then clean it up with the spatula, clean up the sides of the bowl. And then cover this up and let it sit here for an hour. Meanwhile, we're going to go on our bike ride. So we're going to go 3 miles out and 3 miles back. It's been less than a year since Joe and I started doing this ride, and from where we start to the end is 3 miles, and then we have to come back 3 miles. And in the beginning it was very difficult for me, but now it's so easy. It's like a piece of cake. So here we're back already, and it's been just about an hour since I set the starter to develop or activate. See, 9:18 in the morning. Now we're back. Look at it. It foamed up very beautifully. So now we're going to take care of the next amount of flour in the bowl. To this, I'm adding the cinnamon, 2 tablespoons. Let me give this a whisk. And like I told you at the start, we don't have any raisins, but I did find this 1 box of pineapple flavored raisins, but it's also salty. So I'm not going to try it in the whole allotment, just in maybe one of the bagels, okay? Meanwhile, I've cut up some dates, 1 cup of dates. If you had the raisins, you would use 1 cup of raisins. See the dates right here? I diced them up, but be careful because a couple of them came with the pits, even though it's not supposed to have them. You mix it into the dry ingredients. And I added some salt, 1 teaspoon of salt to the dry ingredients, okay? Now let me go ahead and stir up my starter and then start to add the dry ingredients like in thirds. So if you don't like putting your hand in flour so far, you're okay because you don't really have to put your hand in. Put the rest and use my sturdy stick right here. I think this thing's called a spurtle. I saw the commercial, it says Spurtle Myrtle. Put my ring up again, I had put it on. and just work this dough over, either with the handle of a spatula or the handle of a wooden spoon. No, I'm tired of that, so I'm going to get my hand in here to see how it feels. It still feels very moist. So if you mess up at the start with a starter and you didn't get it as wet and you feel like it's too dry at this point, you can add a little bit of water, okay? But work it in really well first, because this dough is really sticky and you might put too much water. So see, I'm taking my time, just gathering all the dry stuff off the edge of the bowl. So this is not really kneading it. I would call this mixing. So if you had a stand mixer, this is what the mixer would be doing. But you don't need that expensive thing. I have one, but I don't ever use it because I don't want my viewers to be standoffish and say, well, I don't have a stand mixer, so I can't do what Barbara is doing. I want you guys to know that you can do it with your hand or the handle of a spoon. So work it through. And you're going to find it very annoying when all the stickiness is on your fingers as you're trying to bring this together. So at some point, you're going to stop and wash your hands, all right? Just work it in first, though. Yeah, so this is the point where I'm going to stop, get all this off my hands, go wash and dry my hands, and see how easy it's going to be now to just knead it. Now, this part is the kneading. How long do you do this for? I can't really tell you. You're going to know when it's very smooth and you don't see parts of the flour not incorporated. See how it's coming along, guys? It's sticky still. And if it's too sticky, add some flour to the countertop, okay? Okay. So now, form it like a ball like this. It's a little bit sticky, so let me put some flour here. And then put it back into the same bowl you kneaded it up in. Don't wash the bowl, that's too much work. Put it back right in here. Cover it up with that same towel that we used earlier. I don't grease the top of this because we're going to be back in an hour. If it were sourdough that we're doing, I would grease it. 1 hour later, Joe is getting hungry. He's wanting this breakfast so badly. Get the dough out. Set my bowl aside. Let me show you these cookie cutters here. You might want to use this smaller one, but no, it's too small. You want the bigger one, okay? I think I'll measure and tell you what size that is. Punch it down. The reason that you need the bigger one is because the holes tend to want to close in when the bagels rise, okay? So I'm just getting out the air. Now flatten it into a circle. It's still sticky, so that's why I'm adding flour. And then you could either grab a big butcher's knife like this to cut it with. Cut straight down the middle of the circle. If you have one of these bench scraper things here, which took me a long time to buy one, but ever since I bought it, it's the best thing I ever did. It has measurement on it for when you're, needing to measure out the size of the rolls and stuff like that. So now use the bench scraper to cut straight in half. Or if not, continue using the knife. Then in half again. So if you know your fractions, by the time we're done with this, we're going to have 8 pieces, okay? So here's 3 and 4. Okay. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now this is how you make it into the rolls. I'm showing you the dates, by the way. Now I'm going to add some prunes to this one. Just because I can. Just to this one, okay? Make sure it all gets in there. Whatever's falling out, leave it out. I'm making a dome. I'm trying to get the pieces of prunes to stay in. And these ones are falling out, so I'm going to leave them out. I'm going to eat you later. So I'm still making the dome. And then just close up the bottom. Pinch it shut. And then you can roll it on the counter if you want to. Flatten it with your hand or with a rolling pin, whichever one works best for you. And then take the cookie cutter and cut the hole right in the middle and set the piece of the hole aside. Now let me go ahead and set this on my cooling rack and turn this pot of water on to boil. The pot's full to about 3/4 of the way with water. Now here's another one, right? Let's see what we're going to put inside this one. We're going to put this pineapple flavored salted raisins. I don't know that this is going to taste good in the bagel, but it tastes pretty good on its own. I don't know if this is like grapes that they made, you know, like the way raisins are made, and then they put the pineapple flavor on it, because I don't think it's chunks of pineapple that they dried out, but it could be. So I'm still trying to work those pieces in here. Make this ball. Roll it in my hand to smooth it out. And this is how you roll it on the counter, guys. You cup it and then squish. Whenever you see me put the flour, it's because it's a little bit too sticky on the top and it's kind of sticking to the palm of my hand, okay? Punch out the hole. If you don't have a cookie cutter, you can tear the hole, but they look so much nicer when you can punch them out with a cookie cutter. So this is my third one, and for this one, I'm going to put some raisins, which is dried cranberries, and I think raisins is a brand. So Jory brought this again from the food bank. Work it through, punch the hole, and that's it. We're just going to mess around with these three, and the rest of them are just going to stay plain with just the dates. So pick it up. Let me come in closer and show you guys. So make a dome on the top, a smooth dome, like a mushroom head. And I'm tucking everything on the underside. Then fold it over like this, and then start pinching it shut. Okay, at this point you can roll it in your hands or roll it on the counter. If you just want to do it like this and no fancy rolling, you can do that too. See, it's sticking again. See how sticky the dough still is, and we didn't add any more liquid to it. Okay, let's punch the hole. I'm setting the pieces of the hole aside still, so I have 4 pieces. Are you guys getting it so far? I really want you to have no fear about using dough, because it's so much fun. See, I'm showing you how to cup it. I'm going slow. This is not really slow motion. I'm moving that slowly so you guys can see. Squish this baby. Now the water is starting to boil behind me, and these bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, okay? Punch it. Set it aside. So here are the holes, 4 and 4. And I'm just going to form this one into the same type of ball. Flatten it and punch it so it's a smaller bagel. These ones Belizean people will call brata. I put the piece in with the 4 pieces. Punch the hole. So we have 2 brata over here. Brata means extra. And this is the hole. And I'm just going to tear this. And this is what I was telling you earlier, that you can just tear the bagels if you don't have the cookie cutter to make the holes. That's the last one, the baby one. Preheat the oven to 400. Let me add some sugar. Just eyeball it, couple tablespoons. You can add pancake syrup. You can add, you know, corn syrup, anything sweet. And boil the bagels for about 2 minutes each. Well, 2 minutes on each side. And then use spatula like these with the slots on them to remove them, because you want the water to drain. If you had a bigger pot, you could boil more than one, but I prefer to use the smaller pot and just control them one at a time. and I'm boiling them in sequence of how I made them. I have some egg wash. This is 1 egg with a little bit of water, lightly beaten, and I rub the egg wash on the bottom first and then on the top. So when I remove it from the pan, it's coming bottom side up, right? Because it's going in top side up. So I flip it over, so now it's bottom side up. And when I remove it the same way. Brush the egg wash on the bottom. Most people will not do that with their bagels, but I prefer doing this because I want the bottom to be crunchy also, just like the top. Flip it over and then do the top. And just keep boiling one at a time while your oven comes up to temperature. It only takes about 10 minutes for the bagels to rise after you punch the holes in them. So as you're moving along, some of them have already risen. This is the last one. Into the oven they go. That baby one, we didn't boil it because Joe wanted to see why we had to boil it. Joe always has some kind of question for the science behind anything that I bake. So he says, don't boil that one. I want to see what's going to happen to it if we don't boil it. Into the oven they go. Let's set the timer for 30 minutes. And then only you will know if you need more. Depending on the temperature of your oven, you may need more time. I'm going to go clean up all this mess. Let's see them. Okay. We're going to move the top layer and put it on the bottom row. On the bottom tray, I should say. Because the bottom ones are looking a little bit too light bright. Put this one in so that the bottom can cook a little bit. And I'm going to give it, let's see, 10 minutes. But I'll come back and check before. So these ones were ready quicker. They were ready about 3 minutes later. And then this one is finally ready. Yes. And I'm cooking eggs. I'm making omelet. So I scrambled 2 eggs with spinach and onion. And Joy's making bacon, and we're also making hash browns in the air fryer for the first time, but I made some hash browns on the stovetop because I didn't trust the air fryer stuff. And we're getting ready for this mukbang, guys. It's almost noon by the time we did all this. And here we are doing the mukbang. So time to taste. I cut these 3 open. I did heart surgery. So this one I'm going to save for last because that's that raisin that has the pineapple taste along with the salt and stuff on it. Let's taste this one. This is the one with prunes. Remember I did some with, one with prunes, not some one. That's not bad. Well, I already tasted the dates part because we did a mukbang on this. But I'll taste that little piece of dates when I'm done tasting the cranberry. This was my original thought to put cranberry because I didn't have raisins. Okay. That works. I didn't think it was going to work because the cranberry is so tart compared to how unsweet the bagel is, because it's 5 whole cups of flour to 2 tablespoons of sugar. It's not a very sweet bread, right? But that is amazing. The cranberry is really good. I would try that again for sure. Which is the last one, Josh? Okay, here. That's that pineapple raisin. I don't think they made it from real pineapples. I think it's pineapple flavored. It's different. Okay, the salt. The pineapple flavor was good till the salt kicked in. I didn't like that. So if you don't have raisins, go with craisins first. If you don't have that, try dates. If you don't have that, try prunes. So that's the sequence that I would put, okay? But it's darn tasty. Let's put this back together like nobody cut it. Shh. Don't tell the rest of the family. Look, all of them have their heart missing. Just in time for Halloween. So that recipe is on page 3 of the new book. I think I'm going to start to do that. Put the page number in the description so you guys can know where to find it. Especially being that you guys are picking up my book. All right, here we go. Remember guys, we are not buying this book. Because if you do, the only people that are making money from that book are my ex-distributor and Amazon. Pick up this book instead. This is my Belizean cookbook. It has 120 authentic Belizean dishes that I've done on the show already, but now you can have it in print so you can follow along and your dishes will come out perfect each time. Hot off the presses, this is my second cookbook, guys. It's called the Pantry Laid Bare, and I named it that because I laid everything on a line when I picked the recipes for this book, all right? 111 delicious dishes from basic ingredients. To purchase, just check below on any of my videos and you'll see the different methods of payment and also the shipping. Thanks guys.
A spice and a wish. This is the Bed Pantry Show. Why don't you come and try this warm delight? This is the Bed Pantry Show.